What if Deku was King Sombra, Part 3. Ah, my beautiful weapon. I haven't had you since the Crystal Empire. About 4,000 years ago. Those were the good old days where I had ruled over. But now with my power coming back to me, and with just a few troops, I don't have the times nor the means. Although I can defeat all these measly heroes and villains with ease. Doing it by myself with 2 men is not going to cut it. Even with my formidable power, I could easily be outthought. So I'll keep my existence a secret for the time being. But I am interested on the #1 hero in Japan. He is interesting. As he thinks back on watching the news as he had changed the weather with just a punch. With him changing the weather with just a punch, he may be a problem. Of course, I don't think he'll be able to hit me, but you never know. And with not knowing if the princesses are still alive or well, that may also throw a wrench in my plan. So I'll just observe for the time being. I'll find out all the cards before I throw in my own. Ram, come in. As Ram appears, yes, sir. Have Sleep come to report to me at the castle within an hour. As you say, sir. Good. Now go. As Ram quickly leaves. At least 2 very important and powerful pieces survived from the era over thousands of years. Although I was expecting him to perform such strong magic to keep them asleep. Well, at least I have some pawns that survived from my, what you say, strongest era. But I'll make this into my most powerful era. Of course, I had control over the Crystal Empire such long ago, and nearly the entirety of Equestria. But those princesses had to seal me away, and then they sent Twilight to banish me once more. I could never win against them. They always had plans, countermeasures. So I'll have my own. I'll need to find a way to regather forces. Maybe even make them my own. But for the time being, I need to meet with one of my most loyal and newly named recruits that Ram brought. Wolf Ram, was a key lieutenant, right-hand man of one of my faithful captains. After his fall, he was upgraded to captain, and later to general. His military might is surely very fascinating. He had kept Equestria's forces busy and delayed for, several years. Even with his young age, he impressed me. The whole reason I gave him the rank of general. He surely has a tactical mind. One that will help me in this era for sure. Now, Sleep. I don't know much about him. Only the words Ram has told me. But from what I've heard, he's trustworthy. A bit older than Ram, so he may have some wisdom under his belt as well. He may be good for recruiting new members. Yes, a fellow that knows what he's doing. He may act all sleepy, but truth be told, he's a lot more powerful than he looks. As he leaves the room and goes back to his castle, to his throne room. Of course, this place needs to get repaired. I'll work on that later. I'll have to find a more suitable place to bolster my troops when I get some. As then we hear walking coming down. You called me, sir? Sleep. Good for you to make it. I have a job for you. That would be, sir. You said you had gotten some information about the USJ. I heard it from Ram a while back. Yes. I also found some more information about it. Then do tell me, what is this information? Apparently, a group called the League of Villains will be attempting to attack the USJ. Interesting. What are their motives? Their motives are to kill All Might. Take out the number one hero. So I was right, there's another party involved. This being the villains. And it looks like they're revealing some of their cards right off the bat. I know most of the heroes' cards, but the Heroesei Deku probably has a few more up their sleeves. So I'll need to drag them out. Do me a favor, Sleep. Severely injure a few of the students at the USJ, but do not kill them, and do not reveal your identity. Use sneak attacks by all means. But do not kill. We don't want them to know we're involved. Yes, sir. And me, you, and Ram will all go together to observe this battle in the USJ. After all, you will make sure all the cameras are shut down, and anything of observing devices are turned off. I will do that with 100% accuracy, sir. I'll make sure none of us get caught or even seen. Good. After all, I would hate to have to reveal my cards too soon in a battle that needs to be fought with strategy. Sir, if I may, I would like to bring on some new recruits. New recruits? Yes. I hear I would like to bring on some of these random thugs to joining in to do random odd jobs for you. Hiring some thugs to do some minor missions and leaving the person behind it out of the picture. Who are these thugs you speak of? They thought it was such a good idea to jump me the other day. I taught them a lesson and killed a few of them. Then I went to their gang, and I killed the ones that did not swear their loyalty to me, and to you, sir. Good, good. You'll also make sure they don't spill anything? Why, of course, sir. I will have them beheaded quicker than you can say, die. I trust that. You are surely a very smart pony. Or a unicorn, at least. Your mind is sharp, but you have wisdom that Ram does not have. Where Ram is more of a tactical mind, he lacks wisdom, even though he's been asleep for 4,000 years. He has served in quite a few battles, but one thing he focused was strategy. He's not the best in combat. He is decent, I'll say. But it seems you have a lot more experience. Of course, sir. I've been on many battlefields. Interesting. Noted. Now head to the USJ, or meet with these thugs or whatever, and tell them to gather information, and do not get them caught. If they do, I trust one of your spells can have them eliminated before they talk. Of course, sir. You're dismissed. As Sleep walks out, I really have some interesting. I'm actually very glad some people from my era managed to make it all the way out here. I must see if there are any others that I can reawaken. But that's for later. I better start making my way to the USJ. I want to gather as much information as possible on these parties. That way I can use them to weaken each other, and then take everything from under their noses. As we go to another scene, we go to Sleep roaming the streets. As one of the thug members comes on out. Sir, you called for me? Yes. I've been ordered by my liege. Y'all must gather as much information as possible. The thug is currently hiding in an alley, away out of sight, so no one can hear them talk. Gather as much information? Yes. Go to the Underworld, gather as much information from there. That's where I can trust you can get all your information. And don't disappoint. My liege will need this intel. And since you're one of the more loyal members of your gang, if any other information gets out regarding us, I trust you to eliminate them. Yes, sir. As he walks further into the alley out of sight. He's right, my liege. Just with a bit of fear, you can control the streets. That's how he ruled 4,000 years ago. Some people respected him, his way of rule. Others thought it was cowardice. A similar person is doing that to rule this era. So it looks like that method is still being used. I must say, his fear is quite intimidating, as I've heard his name mentioned throughout the Underworld, as I've journeyed through there. All for one. And he's a very old. I'm guessing a quark is keeping him alive. But the amount of fear and control he has in the Underworld is quite terrifying. Not as terrifying as King Sombra. No one is as terrifying or powerful as him. Especially Ram, whose loyalty lies much deeper than mine. I shall rule with King Sombra as one of his soldiers. But Ram is a general, given the position by King Sombra himself. Once we gather a force, he'll no doubt corner both the heroes and villains within his tactics. That's how confident I am in Ram's capability. Look at me, talking to myself, thinking of my comrades. He shakes his head. It's just my opinion on the idea. Still, though, as he pulls out his sword and kills a hero that was listening in on him, I can't let that information get out. As he walks over to the decapitated hero. If it isn't a fire hero. Let me guess, Burn Bright, was it? As he looks at the name tag on his license. Yeah. Again, you were quite good at stealth, but you lacked one good key in it, and that's not making a sound, and also hiding your presence. Not a lot of people can do that in this era, which makes us in the old eras, centuries ago, terrifying, because we know exactly how to do that. Well, anyway, time to head to the USJ. As we go to the USJ, where she goes on her rant of the events happening on to the USJ 13. And we see Aizawa in Class 1A. But we see someone high up in the mountain area, as the cameras and all that had already been deactivated. It's a shadowy figure. I see, so that's their point of entry. As we go to another area, or the villains coming in. Ah, yes, League of Villains, attack! As the League of Villains are doing everything they can to cause chaos amongst the students and in the area, while King Sombra is watching, in his shadowy form from a distance. They brought quite a lot of numbers, but what intrigued me is that thing in the middle, with the exposed brain. What could it be? It could be a powerful weapon, or it could be weak. I guess I'll just have to find out. Now, as he sees the clash with Aizawa and the villains. Well, if it isn't the hero Eraserhead, I've done my research, and it looks like you are a threat to be worried about. If you became across one of my men, they would probably detect you. But anyone else, that would be troublesome. His combat skills are pretty good. No average hero would be fighting like that. They would rely on their quark, and that's where we would destroy them at. Him, on the other hand, would throw, I think, Ram, probably a run for his money, in terms of combat. You can tell he has experience, and the scarf is a very excellent weapon of choice for him. So he may be a person to watch out for when things go according to plan. As we go to the mountain area, where we see Ram and Sleep. You talked with King Sombra? Yes, I talked with his liege. What did he say? We've already injured a few of the students that got separated. Yes, who was it? The invisible girl. Aoya? The one with the laser quark? And the one with the tail. Where was he? He was in the fire zone. He's currently unconscious in a building. Did he see you? Of course not. Remember, we have to follow King Sombra's orders, not to get caught, Sleep. He didn't see me coming, I can assure you that. Very well. But you have to take a look down there. It's very impressive how the heroes in them fight. Although it's one, he's going up pretty much against an army. Even in his skills in combat, and with that weapon suit him well. But there's a flaw in even his strategy. And what would that be? Take a look there. When his eyes blink, it leaves a precise opening for anyone to hit. But he quickly fades and stops his blind spot. But if we had someone skilled in archery, or in a mobile type weapon, one glimpse, blink, and he's done for. As we see what Sleep is thinking. I guess he didn't really get that rank of general for nothing. His strategy, he can analyze pretty much anyone's weakness or flaw, and exploit them. I guess this is how he managed to hold off Equestria's forces for so long. As then, King Sombra in his shadow form comes up. I see y'all have been watching the battle as well. As they both bow, yes, King Sombra. I trust you've analyzed a plan to counteract what you are seeing. Yes, sir. One person that may be a very big problem in the war. Perhaps, in the battle between the villains and all that, will be the person with the warp gate quark. Yes, I noticed that too. I need you to analyze more. Find out what that other person's quark is. He's not yet joined the fray. But for some reason, I sense he has a very disturbing power. I'll analyze and find a countermeasure for him right away, sir. I trust you can, Ram. After all, a general that was given the rank by me, and didn't rise through it. You rose through the ranks pretty quickly, and I saw the talent with your analyzation skills. That's why you were given the rank of general. And with me growing my army, means the growing in forces. Prepare others to join us. Are we going to ask for an alliance with the villains? No. After all, I have already heard from Sleep that there's another contender that's a big shot in the Underworld. Yes, sir, it is All for One. I think he's the man behind this League of Villains. As Sleep and Ram are a bit shocked. Are you sure, sir? From what I heard, he died several years ago. Just rumors. A man that powerful in this era, who's lived for probably 100 or more years, doesn't die that easily. Of course, sir. Now, let's keep on watching and analyzing, shall we? Of course, as he disappears. I wonder who he's going to recruit. We'll just have to wait and see. Also, Ram. Yes, Sleep? You must understand that your position is not going to be threatened. King Sombra holds you in high regards and respect. I know that. King Sombra is a person to be feared. But he shows those under his loyalty respect out of all things. And he'll grant the powers that can even stop the princesses from approaching. Yes, wasn't it Princess Celestia that broke through your elaborate plan to stop their advances? Yes, her powers were too great. Greater than I had thought, which led for them to break my ranks. I should have reinforced that area with another platoon of soldiers. Yes, but where was Luna at that time? Luna was fighting a general a little bit further away, east of me. But with the fall of my unit, later came his. I should have prepared a countermeasure for such a plan they had discussed. But instead I let them go through and make it to King Sombra's castle. It wasn't your fault. After all, King Sombra doesn't seem to blame you. He doesn't, I know. It might be how he has the respect I have of him, or the respect he has towards me. I'm not sure. It also might be your loyalty towards him. After all, you did try to make it to the castle before King Sombra was banished. Of course I did. I tried to gather as much forces and get there before they got there. And the forces at the castle stood no chance against the princesses. It wouldn't have mattered. You would have been delayed by their forces. I suppose you're right. As we go back to the battlefield, where All Might finally comes in, and this has King Sombra wondering even more. Yes, show me your strength. Now I get to see the real power of All Might, the #1 hero in this era. Go ahead, show me what you got. While he's still watching from above, as All Might goes in and saves Sue, the girl with the frog quirk, from the Nomu and all that. As we see that Shigaraki has a decay quirk now because of what he used on Aizawa, which was noticed by King Sombra and Ram from their lookout distance. While the fight goes the same as in canon with the Nomu, so that creature has regeneration And shock absorption. No doubt about it. All for One must be alive for that to happen. As he looks over around the battle, and as the same move where he did the suplex that almost got him killed if it wasn't for Todoroki showing up. His power's increasing. He's very strong. As then finally he does the power of sending Nomu out. As then we see that they're about to go try to finish All Might off himself, is when the backup arrives. We see King Sombra in his spot. Yes, that was a very powerful punch. Sending it outside. I remember such attacks from the Princess Twilight. Pushing me out of the Equestria a few times. I should have just gathered my army there and just struck. But with my army in disarray and not even around, I had to do everything myself. So the reason he couldn't gather his army is because the rest of his army was still sealed. So that's why they rose to help him. It looks like you've bored me now. As he sees that All Might had deflated. Interesting. I'll need a report with Ram about that. I didn't notice anything at the start. Maybe there was a clue. Anyway, King Sombra goes back to his throne room, flying through. As Ram and Sleep both appear. So tell me what you've gathered. Well, I found out that other villain that got away, Shigaraki, had a decay quirk, sir. Yes, I noticed it too. All Might deflating was not a sight I was prepared to see. Did you perhaps know something I did not? Yes, I did know something, sir. Apparently, the number 1 hero has a time limit, probably due to an injury. A injury, you say? Yes. Maybe that battle from 10 years ago. The one that said he fought All for One? Yes. Him being the most strongest in the era, they did clash. That's probably where he got his wound. But we did get some interesting intel. And what have you gotten from the Underworld, Sleep? Because I'm very sure you went to go meet with your intel people as soon as the battle was over. Yes, I did, sir. So, as you suspected, I have found out that All for One has someone gathering troops, or villains, for the League of Villains. How did you come across this without being caught? It was quite simple, sir. I tagged along and overheard a conversation with him on the phone. How did you find him? I just simply asked who was recruiting the League of Villains members, and then I just kept a close eye on him. Smart moves. And a very good plan. Now I may need to use some magic on these thugs to make them stronger. What do y'all think? They could prove to be fearable assets if you use your magic on them, King Sombra. Yes, and while being sealed, I've been working on something I've really wanted to show. Those princesses, but they're not around to my knowledge. So I guess the heroes and villains will do. Excellent plan, sir. As Ram speaks up, what about our forces you plan to gather, sir? Right now, we only have a measly 30 thugs working under us. Or under Sleep. That is true. 30 is not going to be enough. I'm going to need an army. After all, when things finally start to get worse with the heroes and villains, is the time we strike. Why don't I suggest we send a message? As both Ram and King Sombra look over at Sleep. What do you mean? We say word of a fearful force in the mountains, a villain with such high power, and divert all the attention towards that individual. Ah, so you're saying we suggest gather one high-level thug with at least some good intelligence. Give him a little boost with some magic, and have him be our face for the time being. Precisely, sir. Of course, you'll probably not get anywhere higher than a gang leader, but at least the villains may try to reach out for a group meeting. That's actually an excellent idea, Sleep. And we can recruit other thugs that will be following that thug's orders, right? Precisely, Ram. That would increase our numbers dramatically, having rumors of a very powerful person. And we could also host a fighting ring where villains fight each other, and have people bet on it. That way, it looks like a fighting ring, where we can have some income on the side. That would work. And I can also gather some people. I can go research and find other people. May even get some business owners in there. Good thinking, Ram and Sleep. After all, we are gonna need funds to gather weapons. As they both kneel, of course, King Sombra. Now go, fulfill these orders. As both of them leave. I'm actually glad those two were the first to wake. It makes it very much more easier to know I have some capable underlings under me. Of course, Sleep may get a promotion to a general. After all, he was a commander, and his fighting style and brain of knowledge is far more better than Ram, but Ram's strategy skills are on par with anyone in this era that I've come across so far. The only one that's a concern for strategy that I've noticed is from reports I've gotten from Sleep about UA's principal, Nezu, who seems to be a good tactician. So, I guess I'll just have to wait and find out how good these heroes and villains will do when they're faced against a real threat. And that is the end of part 3 of What If Deku Was King Sombra.